Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, this is Kenyan Revolutionary. I hope you're doing well. Mko vipi pale mko? I hope everyone is doing well. It's Easter. What do you call it? Good Friday, right? For the faithful, Christian faithful, the believers in Christ. This is the Friday that we commemorate the death of our Lord Jesus Christ when he was brutalized and crucified for the sake of our sins. So we say Good Friday because that's the day after his death. We all have a chance to receive his death, which brought us salvation, or not. But I'm not here to preach because I'm not a strong Christian. I know not enough about Christ. So I'm not here to preach. I'm here to talk about politics, Kenya politics, or as some people say, Kenya politics. The topic today is Kalonzo warming up to the Mulembe nation. Kalonzo Musyoka. Stephen Kalonzo. We shall talk politics. We shall talk what? We shall talk politics. Ama namna gani? Ama leo hamtaki kusikia politics, mnataka kukaa mfurahie sherehe zenu. Tutaongea kidogo, politics kidogo. I won't be here for long. And I won't take up your time. You can watch this later if you're at work and you are not in a position where you can watch this. Hey, we'll touch on it. Kidogo too, kidogo. There's so much happening in Kenya. As you know, the world is not spinning. The sun is what's spinning. But that's another story for another day. Anyway, so, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, karibuni sana, wherever you're watching, hata kama uko Kenya, Africa, Asia, America, New Zealand, Australia, Europe, kila pahali, Antarctica, karibu sana. We're about to get started. We're about to do what? Get started. But let's start with the news. Kuna ma news kila pahali. Ama namna gani? There's news all over. So, I want to start with this, Kalonzo Musyoka. He was seen yesterday. Apparently, there's a Luhya thing festival happening in Carnivore in Nairobi. Carnivore, Nairobi, the infamous Carnivore that has been known to be a venue for most of the huge festivals, whether it's Ohangla or whatever the case is. Now it was time for them, my Luhya people, to have their own festival go on. So let's take a look. And the guest there was Kalonzo Musyoka. He was joined by Eugene Wamalwa and a few other people, which I thought was interesting. So let's just take a look at how Kalonzo and Eugene Wamalwa were getting down on, what do you call it? What's that dance? By Ninio, by Luhya dance. Isukuti. Anyway, let me go to this guy's page so we can get a picture of what was going on up there. You ready? All right. Okay. All right. Calm down. Everyone, calm down. That was Kalonzo Musyoka. Kahawa. I'm just getting up, so don't worry about it. Anyway, the main reason why I'm playing this that clip of Kalonzo Musyoka dancing in Carnivore in that mkutano. I mentioned yesterday, if you watch my live, one of my lives, I went live twice, but one of my live was, I said, lawyers are the new Luos. The Luhya Mulembe nation is more active politically than any other province in the country today. Waluhya wamechemka kisiasa. Unaelewa? there's so much politicking going around. And there's a heat wave, political heat wave that's going around. There's the faction that supports the president. There's the faction that are the opposition, and there's a new emerging faction that's not aligned with the president and not aligned with the Azimio folks. And you can pick your candidate. That's why I say Luhyas are the new Luos, because Luo, Nyanza Luo used to be a political hotbed, especially when it came to opposition. Okay? We had bigwigs historically, but it seems like Mulembe Nation is that if there's a determining factor in 2027 election, even though I think I know who is going to win, it's going to be the Western province. Waluhya, if we are to have a fair election. I've always argued this, that before the handshake, with the conditions of the handshake between Raila Odinga and William Samoei Ruto, part of the deal, okay? Raila is to go to AU, then Ruto is to be secured the second term of re-election of 2027, okay? That's part of the deal. It just makes sense that, because Raila is the biggest threat to Ruto. Anybody else is a nobody pretty much. Okay? So, and this kuchemka kwa siasa huko Western Province, I don't think it's due to Raila going to AU. This is coming. This was coming. It's been that way. Okay? So, Kalonzo Musyoka is trying to be prudent here. Aliangalia weather, akasoma. He knows he's not going to be the Azimio's flag bearer. Azimio is pretty much done. Say what you like. Say what you will. The reason why I say that is because the ODM faction part of the Azimio, which is the most influential within the Azimio coalition, will not let Kalonzo Musyoka be the flag bearer. Hawatamwachi. I mean, these guys can't even let. I mean, they have a problem choosing between Oparanya and Joho. You know, you have Babu, fighting over here. You have Joho, you have Oparanya, and everybody else, Mbadi, Mara, Opio, and I. They cannot get it together. So the only reasonable thing for Mr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, alipima whether kaona hapa, these guys will not nominate me as the flag bearer of the Azimio coalition. So guess what? I'm out. And the sensible thing that he deemed fit to do is to turn to the Western Province, the Luhya Nation, the Mulembe Nation. Okay? Akachukua mapo, unaona amekuwa na Wamalu hapo, akikuwa amemshika mkono for a while. You know, ameshikana mkono hapo, alikuwa na bagua maneno ya Nadco hapo Bomas, you know. So he's going to get him. You know, he might reach out to, what's his name? The bullfighter. But bullfighter will stay UDA. I don't think he'll leave, you know. Nani amemshika hapo kwa ninio. So Kalonzo Musyoka have realized that the ODM part of the coalition of Azimio will not nominate him to become the Azimio flag bearer come 2027. Whether Raila will be there on the ballot or not, Kalonzo will not be running under the Azimio ticket. So akaona, you know what? Let me get out of here. Let me just go ahead and start my own campaigns, start creating my connections. And the biggest voting block that he wants to inherit is the Western Province, Waluhya. Now, it's not going to be easy, but it's possible. for him to lure the Luhya nation. Not all of them entirety, because of course there's a faction that will be aligned to the Ruto. But Ruto is gaining unpopularity every day. He's becoming unpopular by the minute with all these things that he's doing, sending people in Haiti, easy taxes, affordable housing, it's just taxes after taxes and taxes and debt after debt. Na mambo ingine. Okay? So he's unpopular. So of course, even the people who are supporting him in the Western province, by 2027, mambo ikiendelea vile naendelea, they will flip on him. Yes, he might still have some supporters, but very kidogo. Okay? And Azimio will not have a huge impact because already Azimio is being viewed as they have entered what? Your coalition. So the perception by then will be viewed as the handshake has brought Azimio to be part of this government that's oppressing the wananchi. Okay? That's why you see the people like Natembea might have a voice if they keep on with the Tawe movement. I don't know what this whole Tawe thing is all about, but you can see how it's gaining popularity because people want to see an alternative. Wamechoka na wakina Musalia and the speaker, what's his name? Wetangula. Okay? These are the very people who have been in politics and government for a long time. And they are not seeing any results. So it's time for a fresh start with some new faces. Okay? So Kalonzo Musyoka, is trying to tap into that. Now, if he can inherit a chunk of voters in Western Province, that will be a great boost for him. Because now, listen, in the coast, there's a huge influence. Kuna wakamba wengi in the coast. I'm not saying they're enough to get him to win coast, but coast is a very kuna watu wengi. There's a lot of, there's the Mijikenda tribes. There's a number of Luos who are there. Kuna lawyers there too. There's Kambas, a huge number of Kambas. But as I said, if this whole perception of NADCO, na hii mambo ya AUC, as long as Azimio are now started passing bills and they are singing kumbaya with the president, with the UDA and Kenya Kwanza, the perception will be that the opposition have joined the government. Okay? And if that is the prevailing thought, or at least perception, people will be looking for alternatives. Now, Kalonzo have his own baggages. We know that. He's not, he doesn't have that trust. People don't trust him because of his past behavior when it came to whether it was him and a feature certificate ya ODM when he akaenda Wiper akaenda akakuwa vice president wa Kibaki. I mean, he has some baggage with him. So all in all, I don't think Kalonzo will be going anywhere. But even though I think he's not going to win, what I think he will do is destroy whoever is going to be the opposition. If Azimio or ODM or whatever Azimio are still alive, he's going to take a huge chunk of voters from the Azimio coalition that will be remaining. I don't think Martha Karua will remain an Azimio. I don't think so. Martha Karua is done and dusted. I think she's ready to leave. Anangoja tu baba akwae huko aende AUC ama arudi huku ninio na she'll leave. And I don't think Martha Karua is a heavyweight anyway. I don't think he brings a lot of votes. Hata ukienda in a background hapo, nobody talks about Martha Karua as being one of the queen pin in Mount Kenya. Okay, so the main damage that Kalonzo will do will not be a damage towards the presidents. The main damage that Kalonzo is going to do is to split up the opposition. Okay, whoever is going to stand for 2027 for the Azimio side, whether it's Raila Odinga or Hassan Joho, Paranya, Babu Whip, whoever, Hawaendi kutoboa. And like I say, it all comes down to this. The deal was made between, in fact, let's see this. Let me just say this. In this deal that was made with Raila Odinga and Kalonzo, and the president, Ruto, they understood, okay? It is understood if Raila gets that AUC position, okay? Ruto is going to be guaranteed to be the president. And how is he going to be guaranteed the president? With the absence of Raila Odinga. Even if Raila Odinga comes back to run for president in 2027, look at the state of the opposition. When I talk about opposition, I'm not talking about the real opposition. I'm talking about these clowns with political parties. Okay, these clowns that have political parties, whether it's DAPK, whether it's Ford Kenya, whether it's CUO NAC, whether it's ODM. Just look at the state of the so-called opposition. Look at it. Tell me who, if they can actually beat Ruto, if we were to go to election, even today. That's why I started by saying, even if you look at the Azimio in itself, everyone is too ambitious. Kila mtu anataka kuwa president. Martha Karua anataka kuwa president. Nani naye amesema, Musyoka amesema it's his time. Babu Owino naye amechemka huko anataka kuwa president, hata yeye he wants to be considered the head of ODM. Oparanya naye ndio ameambiwa yeye pia atasimama. Wajaluo nao ndio walikuwa wanasema ati Wanjai sijui ndiye atakuwa mkubwa wa ODM. Hassan Joho ndio huyo pia amesema atakuwa kwa debe 2027 the ODM ticket. What is going on? That's what I'm saying. They are all scattered. Jubilee is a non-concerned. Who is talking about Jubilee in 2024? Ndio huyo nani amenyamaza huko. What is his name? Uhuru Kenyatta. So I think this is done by design. Like I keep on maintaining here. The deal iliwekwa to guarantee the re-election of William Samoei Ruto in 2027. The deal was made to guarantee the victory of William Samoei Ruto in 2027. If Raila goes to AUC, or whatever the case is, whatever was signed when Obasanjo was there, Suluhu, Hassan Joho, and Junet Mohammed, they know what the deal is. They understood. Ruto and Raila understood. That's why I keep on asking you guys. When I just say zingine, we have to think. Let's use our brains kidogo. Why would Ruto, ask yourself this question. Why would Ruto support Raila Odinga for the AUC chairperson position only to have him come back in 2027 and run against him and potentially beat Ruto in 2027? Why will he do that? I mean, why will it? That's like political suicide to him. Kwa nini nipatie Raila? If I'm Ruto, think about it. Just think about it for a minute. If I am Ruto, tukakaa chini na Raila, why should I tell Raila wewe nitakusupport upate hii kiti ya AUC, hii ya African Union chairperson, wacha nikusupport upate hii kiti, alafu 2027 ikifika wewe rudi tunganganie hii kiti ya urais hapa Kenya. I mean, how does that even make sense? Because Raila going to AUC is kind of building his CV if he gets that chair. Itatengeneza CV yake, so when he comes back, you know, it might be in his advantage because anakuja sahi, he has a bigger CV, a better CV, stating that he has been the AUC chairperson, and that's what he will be telling us in the campaign. I help this country. You know, so why will Ruto advocate for him to get that chair only for him to come back in 2027 and run against him? Unanielewa sasa? Unanielewa? So the deal had to be Raila Odinga, I will do, nitafanya juu chini upate hii kiti ya AUC, na Obasanjo na Suluhu na Museveni na hawa watu wote watanisaidia upate hiyo kiti, but in return 2027 ni mimi peke yangu, wachana wa kina Kalonzo. You even had Ruto in one day when he was in the crowd, he was addressing the crowd, anasema nyinyi mnafikiri Kalonzo anaweza kunishinda kweli? You heard him say that, you know. I mean, he knows Kalonzo is not a big threat. And also, in 2027, tukifika hiyo 2027, Jonasema, given the state of the opposition, and when I speak about opposition, I'm talking about the political parties, who currently in that state, with the absence of Raila Odinga, who there can you think can floor William Ruto? Just think about it. Of all those politicians on the opposition right now, who can beat William Samoei Ruto? Hassan Joho? Oparanya? Sifuna? Ledama? Babu Owino? Kalonzo Musyoka? Martha Karua? Yeah? The only way they can actually beat Ruto is if they all gather around and agree on one person running against Ruto. Now they will have a chance. But knowing them, watu wako na maego, wote wako na ego, they cannot rally around and come together. Ndio maana unasikia wengine wanasema mpaka watavunja meza ndio waingie kwa nini? Kwa siasa. Waingie they become the talking point. So you see what I'm saying? Ukiangalia hao watu wote wamebakia, Raila akiondoka, hao watu wote wamebakia hapa hivi, iwe Martha Karua, ikwae sijui Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, Hassan Joho, Babu Owino, Wandai, sijui nani, all these people in the opposition, none of them can beat Ruto in elections. None of them wakisimama hivyo. Now, if they come together, they can beat Ruto. But if watatengana, wametengana wote, they are split. All of them. Even Jubilee. Wote. Jubilee is part of Kenya Kwanza now, technically speaking. So you see what I'm saying? And that is part of the deal. That is part of the deal. Ndio nakwambia, no sane president. That deal was, baba nitakusaidia upate AUC, na ukipata hiyo AUC chair, wewe hauwezi kukimbia 2027. You are not running 2027. Hii kiti ni yangu 2027, so I finish my 10 years. Kama ni hiyo cheki tunataka tukuandikie cheki nyingine ya 6 million, tutakutumia. But that's conjecture on my part. But I'm just saying, there is no other reason, and there's no reason why Ruto will order Musalia Mudavadi to go to Addis Ababa na watu wengine plus him himself going to talk to Museveni to help Raila get this position. Okay? So you see what I'm saying? So Kalonzo, as much as he's trying to woo the Mulembe nation, as you can see, he was dancing in Sukuti, you know, all he's doing is helping split the vote of the opposition per se. That is what he said. He'll probably, if they run against Ruto, if he runs against Ruto in 2027, he will come to a close second. Okay? He'll come to a close second in the absence of Baba. Okay? But winning, tuoni hiyo kitu hakuna. Hapana, kuna kitu kingine hapo hivyo. Tunajienjoy, okay? Tunajienjoy. The only other way is if we have somebody, somebody from the grassroots, mtu ambayo akona fire, mtu ambayo hana scandal, mtu ambayo will attack both Kenya Kwanza and Azimio for their hypocrisy and how they have destroyed this country. You know, an outsider, Ukiwa Mtata. But Ukiwa Mtata, I don't think he will be running. Sidhani. Wachana wakina Jimmy Wanjigi. Jimmy Wanjigi has just money, but what is he known for? Nani atampigia? Besides, like I said yesterday, there's a growing, the general sentiment among the Kenyans, they're like, tumechoka na serikali ya Wakikuyu na Wakalenjin. Yes, I hate being a tribalist, or I'm not being a tribalist, but I'm just saying as it is. Kenyans would think along tribal lines, okay? Actually, there's nothing wrong with thinking along tribal lines, okay? It's just that we don't think Tribalism is if you think that your tribe is better than other tribes. That's when it becomes a problem. But if you want to vote for your own person kwa sababu ni yake, fine. Kama wewe ni Mkamba na you want to vote for Kalonzo because he's a Mkamba, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. That's your democratic right. So let's not shame people just because they vote for their own people. The only problem is this. What we are asking for as people, as Kenyans, it's not about voting for your own tribe, okay? Try to look for something that's more than just your tribesmen, okay? For example, if I'm Mkamba and Kalonzo ni Mkamba, if I'm looking at candidates, I should look at what they are offering more than just, oh, this is my tribesman, okay? Tuangalie, of all these candidates, who has the best, ideas or whatever. Yeah, basically ideas of how to improve this country. Just don't vote for Kalonzo because he's my tribe. I have the democratic right to vote for him because he's my tribesman, but I shouldn't let that as the only criteria that I use to choose a candidate. Tinatafuta hapo candidate. Unajua hapo ndio even tuna vote. Ndio maana you see these politicians, they try to tengeneza hii coalition of tribal kingpins. Kwa sababu kama mimi niko Azimio naangalia, okay, what does Azimio comprise of? Okay, naona kuna Wakamba hapo, okay, our tribal kingpin Mkamba Musyoka kwa hapo, sasa nitapigia Musyoka, okay. If I'm a Masai, I'll be like, wacha niangalie, kuna Masai huko kwa Kenya Kwanza? Hakuna Masai huko Kenya Kwanza. Nani tribal kingpin? Okay, Ledama. Okay, Ledama kwa Kenya Kwanza, ako ako Azimio. Okay, Ledama unajua ni kingpin wa Masai. Let me vote for Azimio because Ledama is mimi ni Mkisii. Naangalia hivi, kuna Mkisii hapo, wacha niangalie. Kenya Kwanza iko na Mkisii. Naona Osoro wako hapo. Lakini Osoro ako na nguvu kushinda Simba Arati kweli, kwa sababu Simba Arati is another kingpin from Kisii. Then I'll be like, you know what, Simba Arati ako na nguvu sana. Okay, I'll vote for ODM because Simba Arati ako. That's how we vote. Hatuangalia track record ya mtu na all that good stuff. So what I'm trying to say in not so many words is that Kalonzo Musyoka, yes, he will contribute into the whole political royal rumble that is happening in Western Province. And I think the most damage he will cause is maybe towards the opposition, the people who will be running against Ruto. Ruto is pretty much set. Unaona Kenya Kwanza is, you don't hear a lot of commotion when it comes to Kenya Kwanza. There's wakina Wamuchomba ambao wanapiga makelele hapa, but Wamuchomba is replaceable, okay? And they can do without her, okay? So what I'm saying is that, yeah, there are people that are talking about, Mount Kenya might leave Kenya Kwanza. You see this whole narrative that's been built. Wacha niwaambie kitu saizi. Wacha niwaambie nyinyi. Wacha niwaambie kitu. I don't think Mount Kenya will vote for Azimio. I don't think so. Mount Kenya will not vote for Azimio. They will not vote for Azimio. And I know you are asking, they will not vote for Azimio. They will not. They will not vote for Azimio. What is Azimio offering Mount Kenya? What is Azimio offering Kenya? Tuangalie ni ile chama sina Azimio. Azimio, if you look at it, what is Azimio? Because right now Jubilee imetoka Azimio, si ndio? Na Jubilee ndio ile ilikuwa flag bearing party of the Mount Kenya people. Let's be real to talk. Let's talk to me. Jubilee ilikuwanga party ya watu wa Mount Kenya na Jubilee ilikuwanga Azimio. Jubilee katoka Azimio. In fact, the Azimio folks were blaming Jubilee, saying that Jubilee are the reasons why they lost the elections, because at yao ndio walikuwa wanafanya mariganga huko kwa polling station. They didn't have agencies. Nini. So if they have left Azimio, why should the people of Mount Kenya go for Hakuna kitu kama hiyo bwana. Hakuna kitu. Ndio there's this political situation ambao wanasema ati sijui avocado tax, sijui inaitwaje, sijui nini. Hiyo ni makelele ambayo itaisha. When it comes to 2027, Jubilee and watu wa Mount Kenya hawatapigia Azimio. Wacha niwaambie tu hapa saizi. People will follow where most of the Mount Kenya people are in Kenya Kwanza. The people who have power. I know you're talking about kwa ground vitu ni different, but let me tell you something. Si nilikwambia tuko na culture ya kingpin. Culture ya kingpin. Utaona. I want you to listen carefully and write this down. 2027 ikifika. I want you to write down and tell me if Uhuru Kenyatta, if he's alive by 2027, if he will support, endorse the candidate that will be running against Ruto. You tell me. Candidate ambayo atakuwa anakimbia against Ruto. Nataka nione kama Dani si ndio uliona ati alikuwa anasema ati atapigia nani mzee kura. Si unakumbuka vile alikuwa sio au mtu wa maneno matamu tupigie mzee kura. When did he vote for did you see him? Did you see him campaign for mzee? And with all the power, we've gone through this. I don't want to rehash it again. With all that power that he had, the state machinery. Kumbuka, this is the very guy who was in 2017 who had the state machinery and the whole country was against him. But he was able to maintain power by using the state machinery and violence. So why do you think, if Uhuru Kenyatta really didn't want Ruto to become president, do you think he would have left Ruto angewacha Ruto kwa president? Hii 2022 imepita. Unafikiri nani angempatia hiyo sword? Bwana fikirieni bwana. Wacheni mchezo bwana. Hii siasa mumepangwa. Mumepangwa kitambo nyinyi. Mumepangwa. Until that day, mpaka hiyo siku mtambao until that day that you realize that mmepangwa, that is the day that you shall have true freedom. Right now mnacheza. Yani mnakuwa arranged. Ushacheza ile game ya chess, you're like pawns. Mnatupwa huku, hapa enda hivi. Na hao watu wamekaa tu nyuma. That's why I usually ask you people, kama unafikiri ati Ruto and Uhuru really hate themselves, kwa nini nani bado hawalipi tax? Moi family and Uhuru family are not paying tax on their land. Kwa nini hiyo mali ambayo the Kenyattas have chukuad? Why haven't the government, Ruto administration, see that land is returned to the rightful owners? Yeah? Ile kesi, kuna kesi ya Mama Ngina na yule mtu wa Greco, mtu wa kutoka Greece, walikuwa wanapigania hapo Taita Taveta. Hiyo kesi ilikatwa March. Ulisikia hata hiyo kesi mambo imeenda namna gani? Yeah? That's what I'm telling you. Kama watu wangekuwa wasikizani na wapendani vile the media is trying to convince you, Ruto would have used the administration to make sure that ile land ya kina Kenyatta ambayo walichukua historically huko Coast Province warudishe. But none of it has happened. Ile pesa ilikuwa inalibiwa kwa SGR. Ruto kama alikuwa ananyanyaswa kweli, angekuwa ameweka kaninio hapo commission ambayo itaangalilia wale watu liba pesa ya SGR. This is a game. Mnachezwa nyote, mnachezwa. Raila anawacheza, Ruto anacheza, Uhuru anawacheza. Anyway, leo ni Easter. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades. I won't stay here for long. It's Easter. Leo hata mimi wacha nikaangalia maneno ya ambayo nataka kufanya. Nikasherekee kidogo. I just wanted to mention that. I know some people are, it's so funny how some people still think that 2027 will be such a decisive elections. Kenya wamechoka. They shall reject William Samoei Ruto. For some reason, Raila will come back and remove William Samoei Ruto. Ama there'll be somebody, Kalonzo, somebody. Wanajaribu kutengeneza hizi formation, sijui Joho, sijui Oparanya, sijui nani. Mnafikiri mtatoa Ruto ako hapo kwa sababu not only ninio, he's been heavily backed by the West. Na he already made a deal with Raila Odinga. So 2027, vile nani alikuwa anasema, what's his name? This senile old man of court, Atuoli usually says, zoea sauti ya zoea. Zoea 10 years inakuja ya Ruto. He's not going anywhere. Kitu itamtoa ni kifo. And maybe after 10 years. Akisham 2032. But until then, zoea. Unless nyinyi wa Kenya mchoke na museme mimi nimechoka na huyu rais na tutamtoa popular revolution. That's the only way. Or death. It's freedom or death. Museme tumechoka, hizi taxes zimezidi, huyu jamaa amezidi, tumtoeni na nguvu. I said it. Nilisema hapa. I said it was it last month? I said it. What are you celebrating for? Remember that same week ambayo the judiciary, all of them, the judiciary, vile hizo cases za nini Haiti ilikatwa against Ruto. Affordable housing was rejected by the courts. Watu wakaona hii ni double whammy, Ruto ameshinda. Nikawaambia huyu jamaa ataipitisha na nguvu. Sai maskari wetu, police are being sent in Haiti illegally. Mupende musipende. Nobody is standing and speaking about that. Affordable housing ndio hiyo wakatudanganya ati wameenda kuchange vitu ati sijui kwa illegal, wakaenda kufanya ukarabati ndio hiyo imepitwa. It's law. Okiwa mtata kizidi watachinja hata Okiwa mtata, atanyamazishwa. Utasikia amekuwa kidnap, polisi wakora walimfuata. These things will pass kwa sababu serikali ya Kenya Kwanza inachukua orders kutoka kwa Washington DC and Buckingham Palace. Huyu ni puppet president. Na mpaka muelewe kabisa, until you understand that you will never get your freedom. Anytime you have to understand your oppressor. Wacha kupiga makelele hapa. Raila is another idiot. Ni mwingine amekuwa, unaona, unajua Afrika ni washenzi sana. I mean, and I'm not saying this all of us, but most of these leaders. Okay? Most of these leaders. Unaona mtu amepewa kaninio private jet. Now he thinks that's it. Wazungu wanakupatia private jet. And you think, okay, that's success now because you have a private jet. They dangle these things. Wanakupatia hizi mabilioni. You have access to credit. Wanakupatia hivi. I will give you shares. That's what they did in South Africa na kina Ramaphosa. Wazungu walisema, you know what Ramaphosa, wewe kuja tukupatie shares kwa hizi kampuni za mining companies. He became a billionaire overnight. Sasa akaanza kufanya mambo yake, policies za watu ndio nafanya. Uliona Raila huko anapiga picha kwa private jet. Happy. He's happy in a private jet. Huyo ndio jamaa alikuwa anawaambia cost of living. Unaona? The same thing with Ruto. He's flying around, kuja sijui what meeting, unavaa koti anaenda kutana na sijui president wa Netherlands. They make you feel important and give you material things. Kwa sababu what they're gaining from you and your government is bigger. 100 times more than what they're giving you as a president. Sawa nakupatia hizi loan. Chukua loan. We'll give you $600 million. You had that person who, the American diplomat who talked about how much they're going to pay the Kenya Kwanza government for them to send those policemen to Haiti. Waende kufa huko. That's how they play it. But nyinyi you have a culture ya the big man culture syndrome. Unataka wewe ndio onekane kama bingwa wa nini? Wa mtaa. You have the private jet. Unaendesha uko kwa hizo magari kubwa kubwa. Sijui Mercedes, sijui kuna ile nyingine inaitwa nini? Rolls Royce. Yani mnajigamba kwa sababu mko na pesa au uko na land kubwa, watoto wako wanaishi huko Ulaya, sijui wanafanya nini. Sasa unajiona wewe umefika at the expense of the citizens. Maana unaona mafala akikutana wawili wanasema tukate hivi. Yani you don't see mbele. But with the advent of the Sahel nation backed by the Russians, freedom is coming. Freedom is coming. Na nakwambia nyinyi, these presidents of East Africa, unajua wanataka let me tell you something. Let me give you prophecy today in this Easter prophecy. The revolution of Africa is starting in West Africa. You have to factor in and remember that West Africa is where slaves were taken. Majority of the slaves who went to the Atlantic, through the Atlantic to the New World, most of the slaves were from the West Africa. Okay? They took up young men and women and took him to the new world. Okay? Now, it's funny how things work, because West Africa, being one of the richest part of Africa, okay, when you're talking about gold, olive, all the stuff, diamonds and all that stuff, it so happens that it is Western Africa that this true revolutionary movement is starting. Regardless of years of coup d'etats, it happens that now Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, being backed by the Russians, are bringing in generals, military men, patriotic, true pan-Africanists who are starting to bring revolution in Africa, true independence. And these men are slowly building their countries, taking control of their resources. And once they become strong enough where they can defend themselves and defend the resources they have against the Western powers, they shall start moving inward. Once they are done with the Francophone nations, they shall come to the Anglophone nations, the East Africa, Southern Africa. Okay? Once they're done, you can see now they're building a gold refinery in Burkina Faso. Okay? These guys are saying we are not using IMF, we're not using World Bank, you new pussy. We're going to train our own soldiers, we'll build our own infrastructures. Once they finish building themselves up to a point where they can defend themselves, they shall start moving inwards. So hii revolution ambayo inafanyika Africa imeanza. Na wacha niwaambie nyinyi Western puppets like Ruto and Museveni. Once hii revolution ishike moto, naona Senegal imeflip. Huyo jamaa amesema nini? they should remove French they want to use their own money, and not only their money, the French military should move away immediately. Dunawambia, it's funny how things work. Western Africa ndio one of the last places where slavery ilikuwa nafanya. Of course, slavery still happened in Niger and Sudan and South, but I'm just saying historical for those who went to the New World, the West world. So nasema hivi, it's so funny that since that was the last part, unaona, ambao the young Africans were shipped to go to the New World, it's funny that it's the first part that is going and experiencing true revolutionary movement that is going to come inward in Africa. Wakishamaliza huko West, ama Francophone, ama French. Why do you think the French people are now, as we speak now, Macron say that he's going to, anaenda kutuma special forces in Ukraine to help Ukraine? Why do you think so? It is over Africa, because Russia ilisema nini? Putin said that he will, if you want to defeat France, okay, finish France, don't fight them indirectly. Just go and give freedom to the Francophone nations, because France is heavily dependent on their colonies in West Africa. They cannot survive without that. Remember, even Burkina Faso, when they cut off the supply of uranium to France, Paris went dark for a month because they heavily depend on the uranium that is being mined in Burkina Faso. So Putin said, you know what? I know the French people, even Jacques Chirac famously said that France cannot survive without the raw minerals that they take from Africa. And so Putin is saying, you know what? I know where your power comes from. You are bullying Africans. You're colonizing Africa, taking their resources to build yourselves in it. So what I'm going to do is cut off that supply of resources. And that's why you see Macron just 2 weeks ago say that he's sending special forces to Ukraine to fight Russia. And he's in for a surprise. So what I'm saying, while that is happening, remember, even World War I was a war over Africa. The famous meeting, was it in Berlin? When the chancellor, German chancellor, in 1895, is it 1894? The Berlin Conference, when they sat down to agree on how they're going to divide up Africa. The fight has always been about Africa. And so things are twisted now. The tables are turning. The tables are turning. The West is losing its grip on Africa. And the revolution is starting in West Africa with these generals who are pan-Africanists, cutting off these foreign colonizers. And it will trickle down. From the West, we shall go up north. From north, we shall go to the Anglophone nations like Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia, Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe, all of that, down to South Africa. And once these countries start experience real freedom, I'm telling you, people like Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, William Samoei Ruto, Mutalala Kamiti, nyote. Because you've been working for the West for a long time. Mark my words. Happy Easter, all of you. This is Kenya Revolutionary. I'll talk to you guys later. Subscribe, share, like, comment, and peace and blessings.